Guys, welcome to another wonderful podcast, Everything Hollywood with my friend Larry Namer. We're not in the studio today, Larry. We're two separate locations, but good to see you. How was your trip?
The trip was good. I mean, yeah, this is interesting because it's the first time we've done it this way, and basically we're trying to be COVID safe, or as safe as we could be because of these variants going around and all the stuff that's been happening. So we're being good citizens and staying away from each other. My trip was good. I spent a bunch of time at the Jersey Shore, um, which is interesting for me because I've never really spent time there, and I've only seen the TV show. Uh, but it was
Yeah.
good. I kind of used the time to clear my head. I lived on the back of my brother's boat, and it was kind of cool, being in the marina and experiencing marina life for the first time. Where everybody there with the boats, they barbecue and do all of that stuff. And Jersey Shore was great for you know catching up on my need for real seafood. I mean, I've always liked East Coast seafood better than West Coast seafood, and it was great. So I got to eat lots of clam and oysters and fish and lobsters and all of that stuff. And then I went from there, and I'll mention a little bit. Um, I went to San Diego. Actually, it's San Diego County, so an Indian reservation um, that we went to for 3 days for a thing called Secret Knock. And Secret Knock is a thing that's been organized by Dr. Greg Reed, um, who writes a lot of these, how to get rich books or how to maximize your values and that kind of stuff. And it's an invitation only event, and they do it every year. And I think now they're starting to do it twice a year. Um, and they get 300 to 500 people who come to listen to 3 days of speakers. And so I was a speaker this year, talking about how I eventually, started and we met the guy who started Pictionary there, which was kind of cool to meet them. And then we met the guy who started Ugg Boots. Um, so, just like a lot of very cool people there doing a lot of unusual things or interesting things. And, this was the best secret knock that I've been to. This is my second one. And it was on this Indian reservation, and everybody was in one hotel. So it was very social and um, just a lot of fun. I think the next one's coming up in March, but really interesting. But invite only.
Well, since I know you, do you think I can go to the one in March?
Maybe if I say that you'll play, um, and stuff. Otherwise you got to pay it's some crazy number. I think it's like 5,000 or $7,000 to
Oh,
attend.
wow.
But if I put you up as a performer, that's a whole other story.
I
So
would be happy to
I will.
perform, you know.
I what's that?
I said I would be happy to perform.
I would. I'll mention it to them, and we'll see if we can get you in. You'll like it. It was very for me as a true Brooklyn boy, some of the stuff is a little too foo foo for me. It's like,
Yeah.
meditation and yoga and, all of that stuff, which, uh, but then the other stuff, a lot of the entrepreneurship stuff and, people who are dedicating themselves to try and build a better world, was really interesting and fun. So I'm going to
Wow.
suggest they have you as entertainment.
That sounds great. We can all go and have a great time. Right up my alley. All the yoga and meditation, all the fun stuff. Sounds
Yep.
wonderful. But good to see you. And yeah, because I think I've been to that casino with family before. As you know, I got my family in San Diego. My mom and my cousins and my brothers live there. So I believe we've gone there for some family get-togethers where they used to have before COVID. They used to have this big buffet restaurant, where I think we ate, like a big feast, but I don't think they do buffets anymore. So, yeah,
Yeah, no, it was kind of interesting. It's an Indian casino. Um,
yeah,
so it was kind of fun because anything you did there, it's not subject to tax. So you always like look at the bill in the
Yeah.
restaurant and you go, gee, they forgot to put the tax. And then you realize that on a reservation there isn't any. But, we were with a woman real estate person um, from down in San Diego who's also a foodie. And she knew a lot of interesting places to go to. So we were near Alpine, which is kind of a little village kind of
Yeah.
place. Um, but she took us. We went for dinner one night out to a farm owned by a pretty famous San Diego area chef, Billy, and we went to Billy's farm, and he had horses and goats and donkeys and all of that there. But he grows his own vegetables and stuff. So he did an outside. He has an outdoor kitchen, and he did like a 7 course meal for us, which was just amazing, amazing, out of this world. As good as you'll find in any big city in America. And then on another night, he recommended a restaurant, relatively new, again in Alpine, and it was in a strip mall. And when we first drove up, we were going like, "Oh my God, what are we doing?" And we went in, and again, just absolutely exquisite meal, and um, just a whole great experience and stuff. And um, rural prices as opposed to city prices, so it was very reasonable. And so on the culinary front, we did really, really well. Um, didn't do so well on the gambling front, but that's to be expected. You got to go into it with the thought that whatever you're going to lose is really a cost of entertainment anyway. So it doesn't hurt when you lose it. And the last night they had this really, really fabulous gala, which they've never really done it this big before. And it was actually, you would have appreciated it. The first band was the Little River Band, which I remember them, and first I kind of laughed, um, but then when they played, I realized I know the words to every song they played, and I forgot
Hmm.
how big they were in the '70s. And while the second act, didn't match the genres, it was also fun. It was with Coolio. Um, and
Mm.
again, you forget how good Coolio was, and when he
Yeah.
does Gangsta Paradise, it just brings you back to a kind of gentler time. Even though it's, the song is kind of rough, you kind of remember, the good old days as opposed to, being locked in your house under COVID quarantine. So that was all it was a really good thing. And like I said, I think they're doing the next one in March. And if anybody has the opportunity to go, they should try and take advantage of it because it really is worth it. You meet some amazingly good people.
So there were some celebrities there that attended. Some of these people that you met.
Yeah, they had Tom Arnold that was there, and
Okay.
our Johnny Vegas got to hang with all the stars. So you had Tom Arnold there. Coolio was there and is very social. He hung out with people and took pictures. And then they did an interesting thing with they had Gary Busey. And Busey, as you know, was involved in a very horrendous motorcycle accident years ago that really caused him to have brain damage and derailed, what looked like it was going to be a very promising career. Um, and they actually did a live brain scan with him where they applied some modern techniques that they use for treating brain damage or brain injuries and stuff to see
Hmm.
in a real life situation how his brain reacted to it. So again, just a lot of out there but fun, interesting stuff. And it's the kind of thing where there's so many things that happen in any given day that even if one thing is not really that interesting or important to you, the next thing comes up relatively quick, and most likely it is. And then they must have had to have book signing night. They must have had 20 authors um, signing their books for free, giving them away for free. And stuff like that. So yeah, so we got a bunch of books. I don't know when I'm going to have time to read them, but I have them, and they say to Larry and stuff. So it's kind of cool. And but yeah, a lot of celebrity authors, people who like who have written amazing books like Think and Grow Rich and uh, things like that. For like Sharon Lecter and Dr. Greg Reed and um, those people. So all in all, it was I was a little bit reluctant, but it turned out to be a very very fun 3 days.
Oh, that sounds great. It's a nice little getaway. It sounds like it was entertaining, but also, kind of educational with all the stuff that was going on there. So definitely recommend it for people to check it out.
Yeah, yeah,
And if
really
there's
good.
a, and if there's a link or anything, maybe we could put it in we'll have Johnny put it in the description below for people to perhaps get more information about the event if they want to attend, next year in March, as you were saying.
Yeah, and I think there's a bunch of people who kind of posted videos and stuff, so Johnny could pull a video clip here and there and stick it in, so our folks can see really what went on.
Are you and me? Been spending most of our lives living in the gangster's paradise. We've been spending most of our lives living in the gangster's paradise. We keep spending most of our lives living in the gangster's paradise. We keep spending most of our lives living in the gangster's paradise. Power and the money and the power. Minute after minute, hour after hour, everybody's running, but half of them ain't looking what's going on in the kitchen. But I don't know what's cooking. They say I got to learn, but nobody's here to teach me. If they can't understand it, how can they reach me? I guess they can't, I guess they won't, I guess they front. That's why I know my life is out of luck, fool.
But the other thing is, even being there, as long as I have a phone and a computer, I don't lose touch with the world. So I manage to stay up on the latest in Hollywood news and what's going on in the
Yeah.
industry, and a lot
Yeah,
of
let's talk
interesting
about that
stuff going
actually.
down.
Yeah, let's talk about that. One of the one of the bigger news that is making headlines nowadays is Britney's father was removed from the conservatorship, right? So this is kind of a big news. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I've always been on the side of Brittany in this. I think, look, she's done amazingly well in her career, and um, yeah, she hit some rough times um, and needed help, but I don't think you could when someone has a rough spot in their life, you can't just say, "Well, this is forever," so we'll basically take away all her rights and whole decision making thing. So, yeah, I think it was great that her dad was able to do it for a while and make sure that she was basically on track. But there comes a point where she's got to take over her life herself, and so I'm actually very glad to see that she's kind of breaking away from the shackles and is at least being given the opportunity to show that she is a competent adult.
Yeah. Well, her dad
Her
took a lot
sister,
of
her
flack
sister
too.
actually, her sister actually came out um, recently, very surprisingly, and said that she thought it was a mistake that they removed the dad from the conservatorship. So maybe she knows more than we do, but my seeing, Brittany in interviews and stuff like that, I think she should have the opportunity to show she's a competent adult.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I really honestly, before all this Britney stuff, I didn't really know much about this. Since it's been on the news, I'm learning more and more. And I guess you don't have any rights when someone takes over. Like
Yep.
her dad, she couldn't even appoint her own lawyers. She couldn't even like she couldn't even go on vacation, deciding where she wants to go. I mean, this is to me that I was honestly, I was being shocked. Now, I'm not in that legal system. I'm not familiar that much, but I was really surprised to find all this stuff out. Did you know about this before, or you're finding this out like I was?
No, I knew a lot of it before, because, I've always had to rely on Hollywood news and gossip and all that kind of stuff to earn a living. Um, so I followed that stuff pretty carefully and stuff. And so I was pretty aware of um, what the situation is, but I don't think I understood the extent of how her rights were, literally just taken away from her and stuff. And again, I think there was a time she needed it. I mean, there was a time she went off the rails and needed someone to kind of pull it back and hold her life together while she was getting it together. Um, but then I think that ended. And like I say, it shouldn't. She should be given the chance to show that she is a competent adult.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, why don't we take a quick break and then come right back and talk more about what's going on in Hollywood? So we'll be right back.
Sure.
Welcome back. Larry, yeah, it was there's a lot more news going on, but I we were just talking and you mentioned someone from the event that you went to. Who are you talking about?
Yeah, actually, one of the highlights for me, one of my favorite movies of all time is Back to the Future. And I think it's considered
Yes.
one of the classic movies of all time. Um, but Claudia Wells was at the event. She was at Secret Knock, and Claudia was she was one of the stars. She was Marty's girlfriend there. So it was kind of
Mm.
fun to meet her. Somebody that you kind of grew up watching, in a movie that is one of your favorites and stuff. And she was really cool. She's got a retail store here. She does a lot of Comic Cons and stuff like that. And just, really nice, sweet person. And, fun to be with, interesting stories. And like I say, comes from one of my favorite movies.
Wow, that sounds wonderful. Well, do you think she would come on the show and talk to us one of these days?
I think I'm charming enough that I can get her to do it. Now, I think I'll give her a little bit of a break to decompress from, that week in San Diego. And yeah, I'll try and get her on for next week.
That would be fantastic. So let's just continue talking about the news. One of the other things that is happening is TikTok, right? They're doing NFTs, they're doing videos with NFTs. So what are your thoughts? I mean, that's really TikTok trying to take it to get into the NFT space, right?
Yeah, not trying to get into the NFT space, just jumping in with both feet. TikTok has announced
Yeah.
that they're going to be doing NFTs and that, um, they say, um, that it's a way for some of their creators, the people who are making these TikTok videos, to actually monetize their work, which I think is great. Um, so they're going to be offering um, a whole host of TikTok videos. They're going to offer them up as NFTs. So you can own the original version of a TikTok video if you really liked it and stuff. I think it's that the concept is pretty revolutionary. And from the point of view of creators, one things that I've always worried about, is on all the social media, people jump into it and um, they do a lot of it and stuff. But then, unfortunately, real life takes over, and then you get married, you have a kid, you have a house, you have a mortgage, and you don't have the time to be doing the same kind of creative work that you were doing, before. Um, but now, at least with companies like TikTok, they're thinking logically, saying, we have to create a path for our creators, our best producers of content, to be able to earn money so that they can stick with this. So they don't just go off and, take a job and, in the supermarket or something like that and don't have the time to do their TikTok stuff anymore. So, a really smart move by TikTok. I applaud them for doing it. And it does really provide a path for, really creative people to be able to monetize what they do and sustain it, to be able to keep doing it, because now they don't have to worry about making the rent or how they're going to eat next week.
Yeah. No, I think that's really really smart, and TikTok really seems to be ahead of its time, right? I think they have the right people in place to really make these decisions for this platform. Yeah, I'm really all in, for it. As an artist, I really appreciate them, giving us a way to monetize what we
Yeah.
do, right, Larry?
Yeah, I mean, so
So, yeah,
again, I applaud them. It's not just, you know, where they're taking advantage of artists doing free work for as long as they can, but thinking in a much more long term, saying, if we cultivate creators to create great stuff, we want them to continue. And we recognize that, you know, as all of us, we need to earn our keep and be able to pay our bills and do all that stuff, and that we do have lives and we need to earn some money.
exactly. No, that's very good. The other news is about LeBron James,
Oh, yeah.
and him talking on The View. So, what did you hear exactly? What's going on with that?
Well, I went, I was intrigued by it, so I kind of went online and watched and stuff. And it's the host from The View actually um, came out, and challenged LeBron on his statement. I mean, he said that, even though he's this very influential athlete and very possibly one of the most influential athletes in the world, um, he didn't feel that they really any obligation or any need for him to come out and tell people to get vaccinations and stuff. And I know it's a controversial thing, but I'm a very pro-vaxxer person. I believe that we've got to do this and we got to get through this pandemic stuff. And the only way is if we get enough people to get vaccines. And we really need, those people who have influence. We need the movie stars and the TV stars and the athletes um, to be vocal and be supportive of, now it's this thing, but there are a lot of issues where their voice is important. And, for LeBron to take the position like, I don't think it's my place to do, I disagree with that. I think when you become as important an influencer as LeBron, you've got an obligation to do certain kinds of things.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was honestly I was a bit surprised that he took that position. I thought he would be taking the opposite position of going out there and really encouraging, because there's so many younger people are looking up to him, right? And
Yeah,
I think for him to even you know, talk from that space, I was a bit surprised. And then, you got Kyrie Irving, in Brooklyn, where he's talking about, he doesn't feel obligated to get vaccinated, or he's taking that position, which I'm honestly a bit surprised, because these are the athletes that a lot of young people look up to. And if they're taking
yeah.
that position, they're not making it easy, right, for people to go out there and be motivated to get vaccinated. So I don't know what to think about that. So maybe you can elaborate a little bit more, Larry.
Yeah, I think, you look at the Brooklyn Nets and particularly the situation with Kyrie, who's, major superstar. Um, by not getting vaccinated, he is not going to be able to play in New York. When they're home and they're playing in
Yeah.
New York, he can't play because New York has rules against that. And so, him and other players won't be able to play there. Um, they may be able to play in some away games, but in there are other places they won't be able to play. Um, like I say, I'm a pro-vaxxer. I think we all should be getting the shot and getting rid of this thing and out of our lives, and returning as much to normal. So it's going to have a dramatic effect, not just on basketball but all sports. Um, the baseball teams, the hockey teams, everybody are going to really have the same kind of issues with the. What do you do with players who refuse to get a vaccine?
Right. I think that's the thing. I think all of our athletes and people in a position of influence, I think they should be out there, encouraging people to go out there and get vaccinated. You're absolutely right. That's the only way, we can come out of this is if, almost everyone gets vaccinated. So I'm not really happy to see, this kind of messaging coming from, someone like LeBron or Kyrie for that matter. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I mean,
totally agree. I hope that they kind of take a step back and reconsider what their positions were and, kind of come around on this one. Because it is important.
yeah, of course. Let's take a quick break and then we'll come back and conclude our thoughts. We'll be
Great.
right back. Welcome back. Larry, sort of a bit of a surprising news coming out of China that they're not going to allow for this Winter Olympics. They're not going to allow foreign spectators to come to China or to go to China to watch the games. And honestly, I was a bit surprised because this type of events, one of the reasons that it's done is to draw people from all over the world and hopefully, do a lot of business and, stimulate the economy. That's really one of the reasons that a lot of these countries want these big Olympic Games to take place in their countries. So, what are your thoughts on that? And have you heard about this?
Yeah, I did. And, for me, it's a little closer to home because I actually have a company in China. Um, I've got a company in Beijing. We do media, we do film, television, internet, live events, concerts, etc. there. And I'm not, I'm a little surprised, but not terribly surprised. I mean, I have not been able to go back to my office in Beijing in, it's 18 months now. And, this year, Shanghai Film Festival actually had a live event, um, and they wanted me to come. But, I would have had a quarantine for 14 days. And in China, quarantine is a little different. When you get off that plane with a foreign passport, they put you in a hotel. And so even though I have an apartment, I would have to stay in a hotel. And you're not allowed out of your room. They bring you the food. So you're eating, if you get put in a lower level hotel, you're basically eating dog food. Um, and so that's, unfortunate. But what they've done now with the Winter Olympics is really, just out there. They're saying that the only people that they will allow to attend the all the sports games live are going to be Chinese citizens and not going to allow any foreign tourists to do it. And the Chinese citizens have to have proof of vaccine and all of that stuff. But they're taking incredible measures to stop the spread of COVID there. And on one hand, I understand it. On the other hand, I'm sad to see that these athletes that have worked all their life to perform in front of the home country crowds are not
Yeah.
going to be able to do that. The only ones that are going to be there are Chinese citizens.
Yeah, I'm really surprised because especially for their economy, I would guess that they would want it to, bring a lot of people in from foreign countries, but apparently they don't,
Yeah.
it's more important for them to curb the spread of the virus than seeing any kind of economic growth, for them. So,
Yeah,
you know,
it's like I say, it's you can argue it both ways, but ultimately, again, I'll go back to what I was saying before. I think we got to do whatever we have to do to get this thing out of our lives once and for all. And if it
yeah.
means having some hardships and difficulties and doing some stuff we're not really, happy to do, we just got to do it and get rid of it and try and get back to as normal as we can.
Well, that's very wise words that you just said, and it's a good place to end the show. Larry, you and I can keep going and talk for hours, but unfortunately, we don't want to keep Jonny here working all day and all night. So we're gonna end the show right here. And it's been really interesting to talk about these topics with you. And yeah, I mean, there's so much going on every week, so I can't wait to talk about what's coming up next time. But you know, I just want to thank everybody for watching and listening to the show. And Larry and I usually go through the comments and try to respond to as many people as possible. And if you have any questions for Larry or myself, please, put it in the comments below, and Larry and I will definitely address it. And also tell us, what kind of show do you guys want to see? What topics do you want us to really talk about? I know we talk about Hollywood, news, but there's a specific, topic within Hollywood that you guys want to, hear about, and we're here to will make sure that we talk about it. So thank you so much, Larry. Great to see you again. Thank you so much, everybody,
Great. Good
for
to be
being on the show.
good to be
and
back in the
watching.
sunshine.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much. All right, guys. Until next time, take care.